I ain't coming in 2 weeks.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of Livingston Parish Council. This is our regular meeting, August 25th, 2022. It is 6:06. Could everyone please rise for the invocation? President Leighton Ricks is going to do that for us.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask, Lord, that you be with us as we make decisions, Lord. Pray for our council, for all members in government, Lord.
Amen.
Mr. Talbot, you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Righty. Good way to start off a meeting, every time.
All right, Ms. White, you call roll, please.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. Keene?
Here.
Mr. Wascom? Mr. Harris? Mr. Girlinghouse?
Here.
Mr. Delat? Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. Ard?
Here. All right, real quick, before we,
You missed me.
Oh, Mr. McMorris?
Here.
Sorry about that.
How can you miss him? You better watch yourself.
all right, I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off or mute it. And before we get into anything, I want to let everyone know that Mr. Delat is out with a wife that has COVID, so he's kind of quarantined with her. He tried to come, but those of us that had a sick wife, we know what it's all about. Mr. Harris, because we've had some breakouts with COVID, he thought it'd be best for him to stay home with this. And Mr. Wascom's on a trip. So, all right, public input. Anyone that's wishing to address an item, we have the cards over there to fill out. I have a list of the people that's asked to speak. They will be given 4 minutes. Anyone else, if you're wishing to speak, raise your hand. I'll be giving you 2 minutes to speak. All right, presentations. I have asked Representative Buddy Mincy if he would come give us a legislative update. I was recently at an event that he gave this update, and I thought it would be good for him to do the same thing for the council. So, Mr. Mincy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is an honor for me to be here in front of you today. You know, the Parish Council has a special place in my heart. When it was a police jury system, my dad was asked to be on a committee to formulate the homeroom charter. So he was one of the founding members of the homeroom charter, and he consequently got elected. So I really appreciate the efforts that y'all have to go through and the work that you do. I know you have a vast amount of responsibilities and a very limited resources, and this parish has a lot of needs, so I want to thank each and every one of you for what you do. I'd also like to just take a moment to thank my wife. She's going to love me for this. She's back here. But, you know, if you see me around the community or you see me at the Capitol, a lot of times she's going to be with me, and she is one of my best supporters, and she is my strongest critique. So I do thank her for being here with us today. You know, I think it's important for us. You know, I think there's opportunities for us to do a better job of communicating with each other. And you know, in the parish, we know what our parish council does. We know what our school board members do. And I think sometimes there's a disconnect between the Capitol and what they're doing. And so I try to go through and do these legislative updates, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I'm gonna talk to you about some of the infrastructure work that we're doing. You know, infrastructure for me is probably one of my greatest priorities. You know, we have a tremendous amount of needs. A school board member here for 13 years. I know what it is to be in one of the fastest growing parishes in the state. and having to meet the needs of that growth. So our facilities is very important to me. The first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be a flood protection, some legislation that we passed. Before I go into legislation that we passed this year, I'm going to remind you about a couple of things if you don't know what we did in 2021. You know, the Amite River Basin is commission has been in place since 1981, 1983. It's statutorily, it's the only floodplain in the state that's in statute. And we have a commission that's in charge of protecting this basin. And quite honestly, you know, we could have done a better job. About the only thing I think the commissions that they can hang their hat on has been the co-meet diversion. I'm talking about a little bit about the co-meet diversion tonight, but that basin has been their task with controlling the entire Amite River, and which is seven parishes. So we asked CPRA last year in HCR 46. We asked CPR to study the Amite River Basin and come up with some recommendations. They did that study. They completed it last year, gave us an extensive list of recommendations, and it's one of the pieces of legislation that I passed this year. We also passed HCR 82 last year, or in 2021. In the 2016 flood, the northern part of Denham Springs, northern part of Livingston was extensively hampered because of that interstate barrier that was out there, and other parts of the parish as well. In 2021, I was going to pass legislation to fix that barrier. When I met with Secretary Wilson with DOTD, told him I gave him 3 options, and told him he could choose A, B, or C, and he asked me to do neither one of them or any of them. And I asked him why, and he said, we don't know what the solution is. So at that time, it had been 5 years since we had flooded, and there was no plans on how we're going to fix that barrier. So we passed a resolution, it was a 2-year study. They've completed the first year. Fall of this year, it should be completed. Hopefully, they give us a recommendation on what we can do with that barrier. So on to 2022. So in this year, we passed HB 686, and HB 686 basically took that Amite River Basin, the statutes that was already in place, and we just improved it so much more. That basin, that commission has the power to do tremendous things in our floodplain. They have the taxing authority, and so we basically took it, we revamped it. We included CPRA on the board. We included DOTD. We included the Pontchartrain Levee District. We also changed some requirements for the commissioners. We put a 7-year requirement for them from professional experiences in either, surveying or civil engineering or floodplain management. So, we want to thank those who served on the Amite River Basin all these years. But we also, January 1, they will take in effect, and hopefully we can get some things going. HR 149, the Amite River hasn't been dredged since probably 58 or 60, 1960. And so we passed a resolution to ask CPRA and ARBC, which is Amite River Basin Commission, to study dredging of the Amite River. And parts of that is going to be the clearing and de-snagging of it, but we've got that in place. It's funded, and that report should be done by the end of the year. We also, HR 156, Congressman Graves has done a tremendous job of bringing back resources to our parish. But we asked him specifically, we asked Congress in this resolution to specifically find more funding for projects in the Amite River Basin. And then HR 181, I know some of you are familiar with the Louisiana Watershed Initiative regions. And Congressman Graves brought in $1.2 billion to our state as a result of the 2016 flood. That money was brought in so we can better protect ourselves. Now, the state distributed that across, they developed 8 regions, and they distributed that money across the state in a competitive grant-based process. But we're actually in a Region 8. Region 8 consists of, I think, 6 floodplains. So we already have a statute that's in place for us to control our own destiny and pass on our, and do our own taxing and provide the best services for our district. And they put us in a region with another bureaucratic level that's over us. So, we've been asking for, I think, since this method was done, for them to give the Amite River Basin its own region. And I passed HR 181 this year and asked Senator White to do the same thing on the Senate side, but we've asked the Louisiana Watershed Initiative to recognize the Amite River Basin as its own region. And we had a meeting, I think it was last week, where we actually went and advocated for it again. And we were not successful to get it there that night. They see the merits in it, they understand it, they've tabled it, and they've asked for them to consider some rules, and we're going to continue to fight for that. But hopefully we'll get that done. I'm going to go into just a little bit of some funding. We've talked about the Weir project here in this parish, the Amite diversion Weir. And, there were some funding sources, there were some issues with some grants. Those funds were reallocated somewhere else, but worked with Speaker Shake Snyder. We got $10 million to fund that Weir repair. Also, in surplus funding, worked with Senator White. We were able to allocate $8 million to send to the Amite River Basin. So we've got an approved statutes, and we funded them so they can get their master plans and their administration going to better serve our area. And then just a couple more updates. A lot of talk about dredging of the Amite and the Blind Rivers. That hopefully that'll be done this fall. That's going to be just for navigational purposes only. Unfortunately, we received some bad news on the Amite diversion. I guess 2 weeks ago. I serve on the task force, and we were told that it would be completed in end of 21, then it went to 22, then it went to 23, and we were told yesterday that they had a pretty good firm date of the fourth quarter of 2025. But we will continue to try to work on them getting that done. And then so that's all I have on the flood protection. I'd answer any questions before I go on to the roads if y'all have any on the flood. Okay. So look, I would say, and most of what I'm going to talk about is actually infrastructure improvements in my district. I'm District 71, Denham Springs and Walker area, and we've been working really hard to bring some infrastructure projects in. I would say we probably have as much capital outlay and infrastructure projects going on in the district as we ever had. The first project I want to talk about is a roundabout at LA 61 and 1019. Most of you know this is at Frogs at Magnolia Beach Road. There's been a request in for a roundabout there for many years. I think the governor line item vetoed it a couple of times. Worked with Senator Pope in 2020. We were able to get that back into capital outlay. That project is supposed to be let in 2025, but it should be a great improvement for traffic in that area, but also for safety. Roundabout at 447 and 1025 at Walker North and Arnold. A request was originally started in 2019 by Representative Pope at the time and Senator Erdy to study that roundabout. That roundabout was completed earlier in this year. They have approved the roundabout, a single lane roundabout. We got $2.5 million in capital outlay, and hopefully that'll get started pretty shortly. Southside campus. That when we flooded in 2016, we had 3 campuses that had to be torn down. Southside Junior High, Southside Elementary, and Denham Springs Elementary. Southside Junior High was on LA 16, which is right at the interstate, already had a lot of traffic issues on 16. So we knew that if we actually combined 2 campuses there, we took an area that already had a traffic issue with previous campus, and we added another one. But what we did, I was still on the school board at the time. We included a big wraparound driveway all the way around the campus. And when I was still on the school board, we had asked for a capital outlay request to put a turning lane there. And whenever I got to the Capitol, we was able to secure it. And so that's $1 million, and that turning lane is completed. Cook Road Extension, as you know, this is a really talked about project for us. It's been in the works for about 12 years. It's completely funded. We did a groundbreaking in June of 2022 this year, and so we're excited about that project underway. So, one of the things for the focus for me on infrastructure in my district is, is the feeders off of the interstate. Livingston Parish is still a bedroom community, and most of our folks work outside the parish, and a lot of them use the interstate. And a lot of those chokeholds are taking place at the interstate. So, we've been focused on the arteries, the 4 arteries feeding that in my district: 4H Club Road, Range, Jubin, and 447. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing there. And when I say we, for about a year and a half, been meeting with Senator Pope, and, you know, the Mayor of Walker, Mayor of Denham, DOTD, and the Capital Planning Commission. And we've been trying to put together a plan for this area and put together a schematics of the projects that work together, the sequencing of them, so we can actually go out there and do some funding. So we were meeting periodically. You know, we first started, we're meeting monthly now, and we are really making some headway with putting some plans together. I'm gonna talk to you about those arteries. We got the 4-H Club Road. I live off of 4-H, and that's an issue right now. There's enough traffic there that we already have issues, and as you well know, we've got some more developments that are coming, but we were asking to study that area. We're looking at roundabouts at Bass Pro, at Vincent. There needs to be some improvements on 190 in Florida, or whenever 4-H runs into 190. And then we started the conversations again about doing a partial interchange at the interstate. You know, 10 or 12 years ago, there was an effort to put an interchange at Pete's Highway. I think the federal government kind of shut that down because it was so close to range. And all those conversations about improving that area just dissipated. So we've started those back up, and we're trying to do something on 4-H. On Range Avenue, excuse me a second. Range Avenue is about the most complicated one out of the bunch. If you live in that area, you're like me, you probably try to avoid Range and Interstate at all times, at all costs. That's a real complicated process, but there's about 6 or 7 projects that have to go together to try to make some improvements there, and we are working on those. Jubin, 1026 Jubin widening project is ongoing. They're going to 4-lane Jubin from the interstate to 190. They have run into some utility relocates issues, which has delayed the project significantly. They've just recently found a new natural gas line, a new water line. They're working on relocating that, but that project has started, and hopefully they get the utilities relocated and get started. Roundabout at 1025 and 190. This is a Jubin and 190 roundabout. You know, if you live in that area, it's another area you try to avoid. And it's been a significant issue for us. That project was let in 2018. I think at that time, the anticipated time for Energy to relocate their lines was 90 days. It took them 962 days. AT&T, it was supposed to be 357. It took them 778 days. So the utilities were relocated in February of 2021. But because of inflation, and because of COVID, and because of all the cost increase, it created issues with that contractor. And we have been, that project has been on a standstill since February 2021, working with litigation to try to get that resolved. We're hopeful that we're going to get some news shortly that we're going to get to be able to move that project forward. And then just continuing on Juba North, the Juba North extension, another project that's been around for a long time, going to extend it from 190 to Lockhart. You know, it's in 2021. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, and you know, I made it my #1 priority for the parish based on the information that I got from our planning commission, the parish planning commission, and we were able to get 21 million. It's estimated 21 million. We got the remaining 6.7 million in capital outlay, and that project is fully funded. It's going to be 4-lane, and there's a lot of people who put a lot of efforts in here. We're hoping it gets bid in 27 and 28, but that's going to tremendously improve those areas. 447. You know, 447 going south from the interstate is a significant issue, traffic issues trying to get to the hospital. And believe it or not, the area south of 447 is one of the greatest safety issues that's been in our parish. And Senator Pope and I, we got about 27.7 million committed in capital outlay. We're going 4-lane Buddy Ellis, all the way to Buddy Ellis on 447, and we're going 3-lane it to Joe May Road. And that's going to be a tremendous improvement in that area. The only thing it's going to do for us, or it's going to restrict us from there, is the bridge. So 447 at the interstate needs to be widened. The bridge is in the process of being studied right now. There's an estimated $10 million to do it, and we're actually going after some federal funding to try to get that funded. So that ought to take care of 447. And you know, I'm going to talk about broadband next. You know, there's a tremendous amount of grant opportunities that we've had in the state. Broadband is one of them. You know, about 40% of our parish is unserved. There was 90 million allocated for the gumbo grants in 2022. Another 86 is going to be done in 2023 for a total of 176 and 176 million. And you know, one thing we recognize is that we needed to have a voice for Livingston Parish to compete for those grants, because it's based on a competitive base. And I want to show my appreciation to the council. In 2021, I appeared before y'all and asked y'all to form a committee, the Link Up Livingston Committee. We put that committee together, and I'm really proud of the results. The chairman is Jack Varnado. He's our 911 commander for the sheriff's office. But we've been really successful with that committee, and we got a lot of work left to do. We were told going into this, you know, we met with all the providers, we brought the providers in, and we asked them, we pleaded with them to invest in Livingston Parish. And we were pretty much told by all of them that you know, didn't meet their business model, and they were not willing to invest in us. And but we stayed on them, and then we actually had one successful application. Charter did an application. I think the total for that bill's about $3 million, and so it's going to affect, improve 502 customers and businesses, and that's going to be going on. We are getting ready for round two. Round two applications will be going out. We have a meeting next week with the committee, and we're going to be going after our providers and trying to encourage them again to invest in our parish. A couple more good things that we've had come out of that Link Up committee is digital literacy. You know, you can provide, once you provide services to the unserved areas, if they don't know how to use it, it's really not effective for us. So there's a big effort with digital literacy. And this committee has worked really hard, and because of the efforts that we've done, we're one of 5 parishes in the state that's going to be a pilot. The state government has given us some funding, and we're going to pilot some things to try to improve that literacy, digital literacy. And then the other last component of it, since 2021, been working on bringing a cell tower into Livingston Parish, and we met a couple of weeks ago with the city of Walker, introduced it. The city of Walker, we've asked them to donate a piece of property to us, but we've got a company that's going to come in and build a 500-foot tower, about a $750,000 investment. The radius depends upon what they put on the tower, but the radius of services is supposed to be 35 miles, and where it's going to be centered, it's going to be able to provide coverages for the whole parish. So that's a brief outline of some of the infrastructure projects that we've done. You know, I'm very proud of the efforts that we've got so far. We've got a lot more to go, and I will continue to do my best to bring projects to Livingston Parish. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that y'all may have.
I've been seeing you going to some educational summits. What can you give us a little insight on that?
Yeah, you know, again, I think we've got some good things going on in our parish. You know, we've got different groups, different entities that are doing some very positive things. I think we could all do a better job of working together. I think there needs to be more transparency amongst us. And so last year we had three educational summits. We had one for drainage. We brought basically all the stakeholders in the parish there. I think you was there at that.
That was a good thing.
Yeah, and you know, it was a great event. We followed and coming out of that, you know, some of the things that we did was, you know, we recognized the Louisiana Watershed Initiatives. They were competitive based. We didn't get any in round one. So, you know, we wanted to make our parish have better opportunities. We brought OCD in, and we had a Louisiana Watershed Summit, if you will. And then we also had the Drainage Summit last year, and I mean the infrastructure, or broadband, I'm sorry. In that broadband structure, you know, that's where the committee come out, the Link Up Committee, as a result of that, and I think it's beared a lot of fruit for us. And then this year, you know, we've had 2 summits. You know, we put together a grant summit, basically, and we brought, you know, state and federal agencies to come to our parish and try to educate us on the grant opportunities that are out there. There's a lot of grant money that's out there. And you all know the limitations we have on our tax base, and we have to do everything we can to put us in the best position to be competitive. So we had probably about 70 participants from the parish that came to that. It was a great event. We followed up in July with the last one that we had was we did one on emergency response. And I'll just tell you that, you know, when Hurricane Ida came through, you know, Denham Springs and Walker, the area that I represent, was for the most part spared. I mean, we got hit a little bit, but that storm, you know, come up the eastern part of our parish, and the southern part and the eastern part really got hit the hardest. And, you know, since my district was in good shape, I was able to help some of the rural areas, and I worked with Speaker Shake Snyder, and we reached out to a lot of areas and tried to help them out. And one of the things that I recognize, you know, it wasn't just our parish, but one of the things that we recognized was that we could do a better job of letting people know the resources that are available, the contacts, the processes, those types of things. And I served on the Homeland Security, and after Ida, we brought in, you know, one day we brought in all the parishes and let them tell us as a state how we could do better. The next day we brought in all the state agencies, and we talked about all the obstacles that we had, all about trying to improve us for that next event. But it was recognized statewide that there's a better opportunity for educating people so they can be better prepared for these storms. So we had an emergency response summit, and we had probably 80 people from across the parish came, and you know, we had GoSEP, we had Energy, we had DEMCO, we had National Guard, we had a whole bunch of anybody who really, we brought in as many people as we could who could potentially respond to us in an emergency way. And then we opened it up to our fire departments, police departments, and so forth. And we had about 80 show up for that. And so I think hopefully it bears fruit for us when we have our next storm. Thank you.
Good
Anybody
to know.
else?
Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for this opportunity. And once again, I thank you, you know, personally thank you for all that you do. And we appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
And I'll have that Walker Wildcat hat for you when you come back.
That goes good with that Denham shirt all the time.
Quiet down there, Gary. You don't have the floor, be quiet. All right, item 8, councilman comments. Mr. McMorris, you got something?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off, I want to recognize all the fire departments in the parish, Frank Settlement Police Department, and the Denham Springs Police Department. When my brother-in-law passed away a couple weeks ago, they honored my brother-in-law like it was out of this world. All the fire departments come together. He was a retired fireman from the Denham Springs Fire Department. And man, it was just a wonderful time to see all these people come to honor somebody when they pass away. So thank all them people. And thanks for all the prayers for my other brother-in-law who just passed away. We had a lot of deaths this year with my family. So it's been a tough year. So we thank everybody who reached out, and we love everybody in our parish. So thank y'all.
I'm good. House, Mr. Mack, Mr. King, Mr. Talbot. I'm good. All right. I don't have nothing, but I just want to know if Mr. Harris was here, he'd want to talk about his trunk or treat. So just to let everyone know that still is on. They do it at South Park. Do you remember? It's actually on Halloween.
Be Monday the 31st.
Monday the 31st. Yeah. So it's turned out to be a pretty good event, great event for the kids. So anybody that interested in helping, donating candy, anything, y'all can get in touch with Mr. Harris or our office here, and we'll get them in touch with whoever needs to help with that event.
Yeah, that's a good thing, y'all.
All right. Item 9, adopt the minutes for the August 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Mack. Any comments from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, Parish President report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, I didn't have time take time to run home and change and put a suit on and all that, but I'd like to ask y'all to help me recognize September the 7th as Childhood Hunger Awareness Day, and I know I have some people here. I don't know who. For Mighty Moms, and I'd like to read his proclamation. First time y'all came up, I didn't have to wear glasses. Now I do. Whereas statistics are that 1 in 5 children in the United States go to school hungry, and whereas 35% of households in Denham Springs live on $35,000 or less annually, and whereas statistics like these moved a prayer group of moms praying for their children, friends, teachers, and mentors to turn their thoughts and prayers to ways they could help children and families in their community. And whereas these moms founded Mighty Moms in 2010 to end childhood hunger in Livingston Parish, and whereas Mighty Moms' mission and vision statement is investing in Livingston Parish students to see them graduate with a full mind and a full tummy, and whereas today Mighty Moms is a 501c3 organization which organizes programs for children in our community to provide food and hygiene through the Full Tummy Project, the Food Pantry, the Barrel Project, and the Feeding Young Minds Project. Now therefore, I, Leighton Ricks, Livingston Parish President, in recognition of the commitment, faith, and love of Mighty Moms, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September the 7th, 2022, as Childhood Hunger Awareness Day in Livingston Parish, and urge our community to educate themselves on the impact that childhood hunger has in Livingston Parish, in our schools and neighborhoods, and to support Mighty Moms' efforts through prayer and donations. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the parish of Livingston, Louisiana, 25th day of August 22. And I present all for what you do. I don't know if y'all want to say a few words.
Just real quick. I just want to say that neither Dawn or I grew up in Livingston Parish, but we are so proud to live here now because this is a community that cares. We have not, in the past 12 years, had a week where we haven't been able to send the amount of food that we needed to the school system, to the children, and it is honestly because of the good people of Livingston Parish. They have supported us from the very beginning, and the leaders in this community are just amazing. And we've said so many times, these children are the future leaders of Livingston Parish. And even a simple small thing is giving them a bag of food for the weekend. They know that their community cares. So we just want to say that we are so grateful to live in Livingston Parish and have a community that truly does care and support the children in our parish. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for what y'all do. All right, Mr. President, while you're up there, we're going to go ahead and go to this addendum, which is discussion and possible resolution to support reclassification of certain books in the Livingston Parish Public Library.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've written a letter that we're going to be sending to the library board for them to consider. With all the controversy going on, while I certainly, and I want to make this clear, certainly feel like I do not have the authority or the right to demand that anybody remove any books from any library. It's not my call to make that judgment call at all, nor do I feel that it's my privilege to do that. However, I do think, as first of all a Christian, as parish president of Livingston Parish, as a father and grandfather and a concerned citizen, that we do have the right to ask the library to at least take books that are controversial, of a sexual nature, illustrative, whatever, at least put them in a place within the library, because these are public funded libraries, in the library where they can be monitored, so when kids come in, they cannot just happen upon these things. Or if they have a parent or guardian with them, or do not have a parent or guardian with them. Certainly as an adult, you have the right to choose to read or see or watch or do whatever you choose to do. But as a young child, I would hate to think my grandson or granddaughter inadvertently walked in and saw some of what's in some of these books. Now, we can argue all day long the content. I'm not here to get into all of that. But I do think most of us have enough common sense to realize what's controversial and what's not. And I do realize that some things, unfortunately, parents are not teaching at home. I wish they would, but some things they're not. So I understand the need to have books, but we can at least ask them, and I am asking them, to put these books in a place that within the library, more into an adult type section that can be monitored by library personnel, or at least make sure a child has a parent or guardian that it's okaying them for whatever reason to view those books. So I'm asking for a resolution in support of the letter I'm sending. Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, a second by Mr. McMorris. Is there any comments from the council on this? All right, Ms. Lauren, would you call for the vote on this?
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Nate.
Appreciate that.
Do we need to return to the regular?
All right, item 11, Grants Department. Is Mr. Mark in here? Where's he at? There you go.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council. I'm coming to you tonight asking for a resolution to support the town of Killian in the use of ARPA funds to help do some corrective action on some water lines that's desperately needed.
All right. We got a motion on that?
I'm in favor. Motion on that.
Yeah,
I'm in favor.
we're all in favor.
I'm in favor.
We got a motion from Mr. McMorris.
Second.
With Mr. Mack seconded.
Yeah.
All right, is there any comments from the public on this? Any comments from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Mark, can I
May
ask
may I
you
cover
one question
Oh, yes, sir.
about this? How does a gravity drainage district, if they have a specific issue related in a subdivision, how do they figure out if ARPA funds would be available to solve a particular issue in a subdivision?
Just give me a call and let's see if it qualifies.
Because they need to reach out to you and.
That's it.
Okay.
Pretty
Thank
easy.
you.
May I cover
Thing we
one
talked
more
about.
thing, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Ms. Lauren, if you would. Y'all have asked several times for some update on the Waterway clearing. I hate Mr. Delat's not here tonight because he was the one that requested it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But it's going to show you every waterway that's approved. Most of it is with NRCS funding. It will show you indicate the ones that have been cleared, the ones that are being worked at this moment, and the ones that are up for, as we move along. So that will give you an update. And then you'll see some in yellow that we're getting a PW written by FEMA to cover those. And we're still assessing more and more of them. As the public calls in, or if you call in, we go out and look at it, and if it looks like it will qualify, we'll send crews out to do the drone work or whatever, and then send it in for approval. So if you have waterways that's not on there, or not marked in purple that's up for processing, please let me know. I can't get out and identify everything, so. And Mr. Talbot, just so you know, we started moving in on the Robert Harrison and had to go in today and take all the equipment out. It was all going underwater from the river, but as soon as that goes down, we're gonna move back in. And I think that's the only one that drainage district asked for. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, and then the end of Beavers, which is not in that district, but you waiting to assess right where it ties in they meet, am I correct?
Oh, yes, we did everything.
It was red, but they didn't go all the way to the river.
NRCS let us repeat what we did last time, and the Corps let us use the permit. Unfortunately, the permit didn't cover the last 2,000 feet. So we're trying to get a permit and approval to do that.
On that NRCS deal on Harrison, are we gonna be able to fix that restriction that occurs just past 16, between 16 and the river, where it narrows down? Because if you remember correctly, there are 3 big box culverts that go under 16, and some of them are plugged. But when the state came out and evaluated them, they said that there's no need to clean them because it's still the downstream canal won't take any more water than is currently traveling under 16. So there's that bottleneck restriction right after. I didn't know if were we just cleaning or were we expanding?
Oh, all we're doing is clearing and snagging. However, there is an opportunity, but no one's pointed it out. So I'll get with Shane and we'll go down there and look at it.
Please.
There's one, there's a restriction, when it goes under 16, it goes straight and it makes a bend, and it's really restrictive at this one point, and then it pretty much opens up. And the issue we've got is that DOT says there's no need for us to, they've got to go in and get an enclosed, permit to go in and clean those things because it's a restricted, I don't know.
Well, I'll get with Shane and look at
Okay.
it.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? That's it?
Nope.
Hold on. Can you email this to us? Scan it, David?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Have a good weekend.
All right, planning department. Was anybody actually here with the planning department?
No, they ain't
They
here.
asked to defer that till September 22nd. They have
Okay.
not gotten the
All right,
letters yet.
so, item 12 will be deferred. Right, item 13. So item 13 is a public hearing, so we're now entering a public hearing. This is a public hearing on setbacks. Ms. Lauren, you want to read this by title?
This is proposed ordinance 22-38, an ordinance to hereby amend Chapter 46, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 1 in general by adding Section 46-47, Future Highway Growth Corridors, and Section 46-48, Safety Requirements of Property Adjacent to State and Federal Highways of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish.
All right, so, do we have any comments from the public on setbacks? All right, we're now closing the public hearing. Is there any comments from the council on this? All right, I need to get a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Garlinghouse, second by Mr. Mack. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Item 14 is also a public hearing, so we're now entering a public hearing. This is for District 9 zoning maps. Ms. Lauren, would you read that by title, please?
This is proposed ordinance 22-39, an ordinance to certify the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of District 9 and the parish of Livingston, entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District Number 9, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances.
All right, is there any comments from the public on this? All right, we're now closing the public hearing. Is there any comments from the council on this? Mr. Mack?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Okay, so I guess approximately about a year ago, we introduced the land classifications and the land uses in Livingston Parish with the intent to develop and adopt zoning maps in Livingston Parish. For a long time, I was against zoning Livingston Parish. I felt like it was taking the property rights away from the people in Livingston Parish, and I'm a property rights guy. I feel like you should be able to do what you would like to do with your property. But as I grew as a councilman, I realized that zoning was not about taking property rights away. It's about protecting people's property rights. And so introduced this zoning map. This will be the final stage of zoning Livingston Parish. Once the map is adopted, then then the parcels of property within the Council District 9 area, will then be zoned, right? And in saying that, we had a meeting the other night at the Livingston Parish Library, and I'd like to say the room held probably, 30, 40 people, and we had probably 25 people show up, and it was a really, really good, informative meeting. I really enjoyed, working with the people of Council District 9. We all became more knowledgeable, and we realized together that modifications are still needed to be made to the Council District 9 zoning map, and two, we need to have some more communication on zoning and how it affects the people of Livingston Parish, and we need to just all become more knowledgeable about the whole process. So I'm committed to taking the amount of time it takes, to work with everybody that I represent, so that the area is zoned the way that that brings upon the best quality of life for the people out there in that area. So that being said, what I'd like to do is actually defer this public hearing. Now, I need a little technical advice here, maybe by Brad or Lauren. But what I'd like to do is defer the public hearing until October the 27th. Now, I guess we already had the public hearing, so what are we going to need to do? We're going to need to reintroduce this 2 weeks before the 27th? Okay, that's fine. We can do that. So we're not going to adopt it tonight, is what I'm trying to say. So
Wouldn't adopt it tonight.
Just don't make a motion to
yeah,
adopt it.
not going to make a motion to adopt this map tonight. And what we're going to do, communicating to the public, what we're going to do is the plan is going to be to introduce this 14, I guess, the council meeting before October 27th. In the meantime, the game plan is to enhance the map. The game plan is to have more meetings so that we can further communicate and understand the need. The next meeting, the next community meeting I'd like to have is,
October 13th would be the date of the adoption.
okay, October the 13th. Thank you, Jeff. That would be the date of the introduction of the zoning map for Council District 9. What I'd like to say, let me look at my notes here. I have a meeting already scheduled on August the 30th at the Livingston Parish Library in the Albany Springfield branch in the same little room that we had before. I wanted to say real quick that the manager, director, whatever his title is, his first name is Justin. He was extremely helpful with that meeting. He helped me set up my computer and projector, and you know, he took notes, and you know, he took a count of how many people showed up, and he made copies of the ordinance paperwork for me, and that was a really good meeting. That happened on September the 16th at 6. We stayed there till 7:30, quarter to 8 talking, and it was felt really good about that. And so, like I say, the next meeting will be Tuesday, August the 30th. I'll be there at 6 o'clock with my computer, and we can have another meeting, another informative meeting to answer questions that people may have about zoning. Maybe even invite some people that, you know, that can help me explain a little bit more about how important zoning Livingston Parish is. And then in addition to that, I'm going to request that or reserve a room at that same library on October the 4th at 6 o'clock. That's also a Tuesday. And, you know, if everything goes as planned, and plans can change, just like this plan just changed, you know, that would be the last community meeting before the next introduction. So that's where we at on that. I tell everyone, you know, I've had a lot of phone calls in the last 2 weeks since we had that meeting, and I'm expecting many more. This is, so just feel free to reach out, email me, call me. If you ain't got my email address, you can call the Livingston Parish Council Clerk, and they can give it to you. It's a good way to communicate via email because there's record of the email, and I can take my time and answer that at night from my phone, and get back with you as soon as possible. So anyway, that's where we at on that. I appreciate everybody's help to get this adopted, to improve the quality of life out there in Council District 9. And so that's enough said on that, I guess.
All right, so we'll move on and go to item 15. Item 15 is another public hearing, so we're entering a public hearing. I did close it on the last one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
All right, this is adoption of LP Ordinance 21-40, Chapter 125 amendments. I'm sorry, 22-40. Yeah.
What they hauling out about there?
I think so, Jeff.
Did
You didn't have
somebody
no problem
stick
telling
Sarah
her.
on them? Is that what
Didn't have
happened?
no problem.
think we do need to
Was
probably
here a
take
while
some
ago. I
action
got
to
him.
control
You
that
wanna do it?
situation.
I'm gonna go tell him to please step outside
Come on, sit with
in
boys.
the alley.
Hey, last time you had to chase somebody out there.
Yeah, you might want to, it's getting kind of heated, I can see.
No, it ain't.
I see it getting kind of heated.
That's just mouth.
Maybe they're talking about the book thing.
I think she ran them off.
It's his call.
Can you hear us better back there now?
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's good. Well, he acted like he done something. She went out there and everybody got quiet. A little pit bull.
Yeah. All right, so we are on item 15 and we are in a public hearing. So, Ms. Lauren, can you read this by title, please?
This is proposed ordinance 22-40, an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish, subdivision regulations, Article 1 in general, Article 3 minor subdivisions, Article 11 streets, or Article 6 streets, and Article 9 wetlands as follows.
This is, did we need to explain anything on this?
Put a
I mean,
public
this
hearing
is-
and then we'll talk about,
Yeah,
basically,
so
this is just some,
This is
just some
about the
housekeeping.
boulevard and submittal dates was,
It limits the wetlands deal on minor resubs if they have less than, like, 4 lots or less. It defines boulevards, it defines a submittal date. There's one other thing it does in there, Lauren. What was that, Ms. White?
Boulevard?
Boulevard application, it changes the word application to planning department. And it clarifies the 60-foot servitude without the road, so.
all right, so is there anyone with comments on that? That's item 15. Item 15, so nobody's got comments on that? All right, we're going to close the public hearing.
Make a
So,
motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. You have a comment?
I got some questions. Gary, so, we had talked the other night, well, y'all had talked at the ordinance meeting that 4 lots or less was gonna be,
Well, it was, what we didn't want to do was, what we didn't want to do at ordinance the other night was confuse cleaning up this document so that it was operational for planning versus chopping the number of lots. I mean, if we had to vote tonight, I'm all in favor of amending it. I mean, let me just.
no, I was just
if
asking,
y'all
because
go
it's
to page-
saying with
y'all
the
go to-
sign
y'all go to-
going
y'all go
4
to-
or more, I thought we was gonna go with 5.
Y'all go to 12537, 125-37 requirements for minor resubs, and we'll
Alright.
talk about what
Okay.
some things that have been floated about, and y'all
Okay.
be thinking about them. Three would go from 7 to 4. On 4 would go to 3. On 5, 9 would go to 5, and 5 would go to 4. So basically, it's on a minor resub, 4 lots is the max. You only have to have 1 on a parish road. Because typically what we're looking at doing is we're trying to address people who want to give lots to their kids. A lot of times they build a house and they end up cutting stuff out behind them. So one on a parish road. And then if they're more than an acre, we're giving them 5. And the reason being is sometimes what you end up with, like we're going to see one later on tonight where there was 6 lots with a 40-acre lot in the back. So what we're talking about on this deal is going to 5, so you end up with 4 lots with a big piece of property in the back that you can address later on. You don't want to cut the whole thing up. So we don't want to penalize them and say, okay, you can only do 3 and you end up with a big piece in the back. We'll let you go 4 with a big piece in the back, and then we're just going to say only one got to be on the servitude. So, I mean, I don't know, look, that we have a limited number here tonight. I don't know if you want to look at amending this before you and do it,
that's
or,
okay.
but those were the things we talked about. I mean, those are some of the thought process.
Okay, on the minor resubs, we've been having a 40-foot servitude, right?
Everything's 60 now.
Okay, so even on a 3-lot thing, it's gotta be 60.
Everything's 60.
Okay, all right.
And that is to address that deal that, and Tracy's brought it up over numerous times, and we've seen it over and over and over again, where something starts out is we're cutting out 1 or 2 lots, and before it's over with, because there's, over a period of years, there's 15 lots back through there, and somebody wants to build a road, and there's no ability to build it because there's no servitude. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off from day one and give them the ability, if this accumulates over a period of time and you wanna build a road, there's at least gonna be enough servitude that you can build a road. Now, if you can't get anybody to cooperate, that's another thing, but we're gonna at least give you the opportunity to be able to do that.
It won't have to remain just a private drive. It
Right,
can be turned into
you'll have the ability
into a
to
parish
make it,
road.
you have the ability to do the upgrades because you've at least got the servitude to do it.
The signage, 4 lots or more?
Yeah, the
We didn't want
signage,
to change that to 5 since 4 lots or less is gonna be,
the signage is 4 lots or more. The signage has been the same thing. The signage is we're gonna be consistent on the signage with what it was.
so if you're doing 3, you don't, no
Right,
sign.
you don't have to do it.
Yeah, the ordinance.
Okay. Been missing that meeting. All right.
So if nobody's got any objections, I'd like to make a
Already did.
motion. Oh, we've already got
You
that.
made the motion, Tracy had the second. So, all in favor? Aye. Is any opposed to this? All right. All right, did we close the public hearing on that? All right. 16 is another public hearing, so we're now entering a public hearing for adoption of Ordinance 22-41, Commercial Development Amendments. Ms. Lauren, you want to read that, please?
Sure. This is proposed ordinance 22-41, an ordinance to amend Chapter 126, Commercial Development.
Is there anyone that has any comments on this? All right, we're closing the public hearing. Any comments from the council on this?
All this is a cleanup because it defines submittal, because what happens is we added 126, we added 126 and 127, and we failed to change the process in 126 and 127 to the new process. So all this amendment that we're doing right now is gonna make the process of subdivision, commercial development, and later multifamily, the process will all be the same. All this amendment does is correct the process.
Got a motion? Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Did I close that one? Yep, I did. All right. Item 17 is another public hearing. We're now entering a public hearing for adoption of LP Ordinance 22-42, multifamily development. Is there any comments from the public on this? All right, we're closing the public hearing.
Same explanation, just a
Oh,
housekeeping.
I'm sorry.
No, Lauren's gotta read by
Go
title.
back, let her read by title.
This is proposed ordinance 22-42, an ordinance to amend Chapter 127, Multifamily Development.
Now is there any comments from the public? All right, we're closing the public hearing. Any comments from the council?
Same thing, housekeeping, just to get the process the same.
All right, so is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's it for public hearings. All right, 18 is in introduction for ordinance. This is the courthouse special security zones. Ms. Lauren, you want to read by title, please?
This will be proposed ordinance 22-43, an ordinance to amend Chapter 50, Offenses Miscellaneous by creating Section 50-16, Courthouse Special Security Zones of the Code of Ordinances in and for the Parish of Livingston, as set out more specifically herein. The public hearing will be on September 8th at 6 p.m.
Right, and this is just an introduction, so if nobody has any comments, we'll move on. All right, 19 is another introduction of ordinance. This is Livingston Parish Council redistricting with the legal description. Ms. Lauren, you want to read that?
This will be proposed ordinance 22-44, an ordinance to provide that there shall be 9 council members who shall each represent one of 9 voting districts, and to establish and provide for the boundaries of the 9 voting districts. The public hearing will be September 8th at 6 p.m.
Can I ask a question? Who wrote these legal descriptions, Ms. White?
I believe Mr. Cedric Floyd.
Yeah, Mr. Cedric Floyd.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's who it came from.
All right.
I actually have the email when he sent it, if you need it.
No, I mean, so here's the deal. So we're introducing this legal description. We've adopted a map. If the legal description and the map don't match, which is gonna take precedent?
Legal description would have to.
Well, I mean, look, typically there can be, that's my question.
I would think the legal description is
Okay,
the one that
that's
takes
all, that's
precedence.
all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's been introduced. All right, one more is introduction of an ordinance. This is a moratorium for ejection well and disposal wells. We'll read this by title, Ms. Warren.
This is proposed ordinance 22-45, an ordinance to adopt a temporary 12-month moratorium regarding the construction of disposal wells and injection wells in the parish of Livingston. The public hearing will be September 8th at 6 p.m.
Hey, guys, the one y'all have in front of y'all has got the 2 changes that were made, that came out of committee, and so it's in front of you with those changes in it.
Okay.
Right. Well, we don't, on introductions, we don't, you gotta wait for the public hearing when we do the adoption. So, it's just an introduction, so. I know, but, I mean, it's just an introduction. We don't have discussion on it till we have the public hearing, so. All right, item 21 is condition of parish roads. Mr. David Watts.
Oh, wait, appreciate everybody. You want to let them get out? Yeah, let them go to the restroom?
Yep, let them, anybody that.
You want to go to the restroom?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I need to say something about this. I talked to David, and we're going to defer that. He wants to
Wants to
defer it.
defer it? All right. So we're going to defer 21. All right, 22 is a waiver request for wetlands regulations for Jason, is that Acock? Acock, located off of Elmore Magny Lane. Mr. Delatz, anybody that he called?
So this is a situation, you want,
No, you go ahead.
this is a situation similar to what the one I had 2 weeks ago, where we were cutting 25 acres up into 2 lots. This is a 40-something acre tract that's being cut up into 7 lots. So we're just asking that we do a waiver on the density requirement. It would have to be, there would have to be 40 acres of wetlands before the density wouldn't work on this thing. So that's all, that's what it's
There's no
about, and
sense
that's
in
why
doing
Mr. Acock is
I
requesting
got that. So we'll make a motion for that.
All right. So, all right, so is that a motion?
I mean, yeah, I'll make the motion for Randy on, I mean, that's what it's about, and it makes sense.
Makes
We've
no
done
sense.
we've done it already. Yeah,
Yeah, all right, so you make the motion for him?
make the motion.
Second by Mr. King. All right, unless you got anything to add, that's probably gonna,
No, sir, just available for any questions.
all right, nope.
We're good.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed?
There you go. Yes, sir, Mr. Acock.
All right, 23 is a waiver request for wetland regulations for Kyle Sharp located off of Hernandez Road, Shane Mack.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. So this is actually for Mr. Hernandez. Kyle just sent the email. So Mr. Hernandez would like a waiver on the wetlands determination, whether or not he has swamp or marshland on his property here in Holden. Now, what was adopted tonight earlier, we said that it was exempted on 4 lots or less. You'll notice that this is 5 lots. There there's a lot of question on whether or not or how to get this determination done on, whether or not you have, it's not a full-blown wetland, delineation. So the things that are required to do a full-blown wetland delineation, it's a good bit to it. It's expensive. They got to do some soil sampling and things of that nature. But with the Livingston Parish definition of wetlands being the swamp and the marshlands, that kind of stuff is not required. But I'm not quite sure. Maybe we talked about as an ordinance going back and defining exactly how that process would work, who would specifically, go in and sign off on determining whether or not it was marsh, swamp, or wetlands. So, I mean, he's asking for a waiver. I'm in favor of the waiver until we can write some legislation on specifically who and how. Go ahead, Gary.
What planning has been accepting, and what they've been accepting is typically the guy that does a delineation, if he's done the field work, will then write a letter without going through the whole process. Write a letter that says there is no whatever, marsh, fen, swamp, or identify how much it is. This particular situation is you're looking at, this is a 23-acre tract that you're creating 5 lots on.
Right.
So in essence, 5 lots at 2.5 lots acre, you only need 2 acres of land that's not wetlands. Right. So, I mean, in this particular situation, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's similar to what just happened here where we created,
You're not gonna find that much
yeah,
wetland.
we just created, 7 lots or 6 lots on a 40-acre tract. You're looking at a situation where you're trying to create 5 on a 23-acre tract. Mr. Rushing's, 2 on a 25-acre tract. If you want to ask for the waiver, it's a common sense thing. But there is a process. There is a way to get the letter. It costs a little money, and there's no doubt. And if we want to define specifically what we're looking for, what they're asking for now is just a letter from an engineer or a geologist or whoever does, mitigation, and just say, there's the density meets the property meets the requirement based on density. However, typically those guys aren't going to do it till they go do the field work. They do not want to write that letter and put their license in jeopardy until they at least know for a fact. This is a common sense approach. Unless this is in the Maurepas Swamp, it's probably good.
Yeah.
I know it's up on where I used to live.
So
you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I want to
off
make a
that, Lee?
motion that we offer the waiver. Yeah.
All right, second by Mr. King. All right, any comments from the public on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. 24, rescind or amend LPR number 22-307 to correct the name of the road from pasture 1026 lane to pasture 1024 lane.
The application was for 1024. The fax came across with 1026. It was a typo. How can we do that? Do we have to, can we just offer an amendment right now? Do we have to have a public hearing, or can we just offer an amendment?
I think it's just a technical
Name,
amendment.
it's all right.
I want to offer a technical amendment to correct the name of pasture 1026 lane to pasture 1024 lane.
All right, motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Is there any comments on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, 25, ratify LPR number 22-311, Livingston Parish Communications District Board appointments.
This is another housekeeping, we made 3 appointments, so 3 of us said we were, making these appointments. Everybody was agreement, but guess what? Nobody seconded it. It was unanimous, but nobody said I second. So technically, what we're doing now is passing a resolution to
clean it up.
approve what we did 2 weeks ago, because nobody technically
So
seconded.
you're gonna make the motion,
I'm gonna make the motion.
and you're gonna second it.
I'll second.
So we got a motion and a second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
So somebody had got too excited and jumped the gun on that?
I might
I
have.
mean, let me tell you something.
I might have.
When three people make appointments and everybody's in agreement,
Yeah.
you figured somebody
I know.
said second somewhere. We didn't.
All right, 26, board reappointments. This is 26A, appoint Robert Went to Fire Protection District Number 5, taking the place of Robert Johnson.
Did Bubba call anybody? He didn't.
He didn't call me, but
It's signed by Joe, and I'm sure that he lined that up.
yeah, he had to.
I do believe we have a letter from them.
Whom it may concern,
Yes,
please
look at
appoint Mr.
26A.
Robert
Y'all, we
Went.
did get a letter from them.
Yeah, I got a letter from Joe Krogowski on it.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. McMorris. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. 26B, reappoint Chad Jenkins to the Personnel Board. Mr. McMorris?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McMorris.
Second.
Second by Mr. Talbot. Any comments? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. C, ratify the Fire Protection District Number 8 Board reappointment made by the Fire Board, that Claybear? C.J. Morales?
Yes, C.J. Morales. Do we have their letter?
I don't think
we have their
it ain't in our
minutes.
packet.
Yeah, their minutes, that's all we need, their minutes.
Yeah,
I'll make a
we have-
motion to accept.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Any comments on this? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, committee reports, ordinance.
I think we had the,
Introduced everything.
yeah, we just,
really.
we introduced
introduced everything.
we introduced everything, so we really don't have anything else to pending at the moment, so.
All right, and finance didn't meet. We still got, what, another month or so before we meet again? 2 months? And that'll be the budget when it comes through.
Yep.
All right, district attorney's report.
Nothing to report this evening, gentlemen.
All right, I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Girlinghouse.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMorris. All in favor? Any opposed?
I object. No, I'm
Too late. He done swinging the hammer. It's too late.
Yep.